I thought, I'm not afraid to die. But when I almost died, man, I was afraid. I begged for my life. I cried.
The loss has created such grief that it's almost perpetual. A family no more than gets over one loss and we have another.
It has that numbing effect. You just take it as everyday living now. And it's just natural for us to go to a funeral.
You know, it's just like you lose half of yourself, your other half, when you lose your soulmate. You know, you're so lost.
It affects just more than the victim. It affects the person who may be the perpetrator, all the families on both sides. And so it's very devastating to our people.
We're interconnected so many ways that when we lose someone, it doesn't just affect that family, it affects our whole community.
My little granddaughter drew a green car. Her mother was killed in their green car, and she put everybody in it and said that they were all still there.
It took so much away from us. It took our self-pride and our self-esteem away from us.
We're not numb to the grief, but I think we're numb to the cause of the grief.
My name is Patricia Wagner, but most people know me by Annie. I've lived here most of my life and I've always loved it here. I mean, we have the best water, the fresh air, we have a lot of wind, but you know, that doesn't bother me. We had a real hard life, me and my brothers and sisters. My parents were alcoholics, so we kind of grew up real hard and learned at a young age, you know, just to kind of take care of ourselves. I mean, back then it was like normal for kids to sit out in front of a bar, you know, till 2, 3 in the morning. You know, I never wanted to raise my kids around that. I was real young when I met Dale, and oh my God, he was so handsome. I thought, you know, he was a really nice looking Blackfeet man. He was really close to his kids, and all of his kids just really loved him a lot. You know, he was a family man. Dale died in '07. He was catching a ride with his friend, I guess. The car must have rolled on Dale. I really don't know the whole story, but yeah, my son Luke had to do CPR on his father. I think to this day it still affects him. I was grieving so hard. I just kind of shut myself down. I just wanted to get by him, touch him, and talk to him, and it was real hard. It took me about a year to start, you know, kind of come out of it a little bit. You know, it's just like you lose half of yourself, your other half, when you lose your soulmate. You know, you're so lost. You know, it's just, you lose yourself in grief. They just didn't know how to deal with it at all. They couldn't deal with his death. Like, I'd look up on this hill where he died and I'd see one of them standing up there for a long time. You know, after he died, they'd stand up there, you know, like for hours, and and then I'd find myself sitting up there for hours. I even used to sleep up there in the summertime. And all of us, it affected our whole family, and we see that on this reservation, just the grief, because we have so many deaths. I think alcohol is one of the ways that the Blackfeet have learned to cope with the grief and the loss. I've seen so many car wrecks. I mean, a lot of drunk driving related accidents. Some of them would be my friends or people I knew, and that was real hard. I think a lot of people are more aware now, and that they do call for a friend to drive them, because for number one, they don't want to get those DUIs. So I think they're doing that more, but not enough, I worry all the time that that my kids or my grandkids could get into a wreck by a drunk driver killing them or hitting them. I'll walk along this highway and pray. I always walk along it and pray for everybody that's driving. I pray for our community, and I pray for the people that are drinking, that they use common sense, that they get a sober driver, and that they use their seat belts, and just say my prayers for everybody. I just hold dear into my heart that we had 4 beautiful children, and I feel sad sometimes because he didn't get to meet most of our grandchildren. Who knows, maybe he does know them. We don't know that, but I just hope he's at peace, I just want him to be at peace and to be happy, and I want my kids to be at peace. Well, I think they know that they were loved, I know they all know that he loved them dearly. So we'll never forget him,
I am Charles Archambault. Had a pretty good childhood. My mom did her best being a single parent. I really have to pride my mother now. Looking back, raising me by herself, she pretty much dedicated, her life to doing that. And she didn't use drugs, she didn't drink alcohol. Even I had that good upbringing with my family, with my grandmother. I was, I don't know what you would call it, just a bad, rotten, spoiled kid. I was a grandma's boy. I didn't always listen to my mom. And at a young age, I started hanging out with older kids and got into drugs and alcohol at a young age, pretty young. And no matter how hard my mom tried to keep me away from all that, I just wouldn't listen to my mom or my grandmother. Despite me being a rotten, bad kid and always getting in trouble in school, getting in fights, getting in all this ridiculous trouble at school. I normally did pretty well in school. I actually tried hard at school. My mom taught me to read and write at a really young age, and arithmetic, and it took me a long ways. I did really well in football. Coach asked me if I'd ever thought about going to college. I said no, I haven't even thought about college. And he said, well, Charles, you're good enough, your grades are good enough, you could probably play some college football. I was in contact with a few frontier colleges, MSU Northern being one, and then the one that really pursued that I was interested in was, it's called Haskell, it's in Kansas. It's an all-Indian college, actually, junior college. And I agreed to go there, and I talked to the head coach, told him that I was gonna come. As soon as I graduated, I couldn't wait to leave my mom's house, I think the day after graduation, I packed up my vehicle and I told her I was moving back to my grandma's house. So I come back to Browning, get hooked up right back up with the same old buddies and doing the same old. And it's come fall time to go to college, and I didn't go. I didn't leave. I didn't go play football. I remember going to a football game, and I drank so much, I was in a blackout. I don't remember nothing. Some deer came on the road just north of Big Fork, I swerved, overcorrected, went in a ditch, and hit an approach, and I was probably, driving over 100 miles an hour. I was partying, I was drinking, I was driving, and driving fast, man, no seatbelts, my favorite things to do, stupid things now that I look back. I always had this mentality growing up that I couldn't be hurt, I always thought, I'm indestructible, I can't be hurt, I can always walk away from everything. I'd been in car wrecks before this car wreck, bad car wrecks, with me driving, me drinking and driving. And despite losing family, friends, I always thought, it won't happen to me, not me, it'll never happen to me. I'm in the ICU, I got a ventilator on, man, I got tubes hanging out everywhere. And despite all that, I start trying to get up. I got a feeding tube on, I rip the feeding tube on, I take the ventilator, I'm trying to get up. And it still don't dawn on me that my legs ain't working. I push my legs off the side of the bed and I'm trying to get up. Man, it was devastating, it was horrible. Everything I'd ever did, I used my legs, everything, whether it was growing up, riding horses, swimming, fishing, hunting, playing sports. Everything I did, I used my legs. I just cried and cried and cried and cried. I'd lost a lot of friends, a lot of family to drinking, driving, and I almost died too. I knew I almost died, man. I always thought I wasn't afraid of death, wasn't afraid to die. But when I almost died, man, I was afraid. I begged for my life, I cried. So I knew that me being alive, me being able to come back, whether I was paralyzed or not, I felt that, I was given another chance. I was like, I was given another chance. Why me? Why the hell me? I was feeling pretty bad for myself, and my mom, she just let me know that, this is the reason you are where you're in a wheelchair is because of the choices you made. And it's hard for me to think now, with my mom, with me being a parent, how hard it would be for her. Tell your own kid that my daughter now, and I couldn't imagine her, getting in a car wreck and being paralyzed. On top of all that, and then having to tell her, well, you did this to yourself, That's love, man. That's my mom. And actually, in that summer, I met my girlfriend Jaylyn, and she ended up coming back with me that little later on that fall. I didn't think I could actually have kids. I didn't think it was possible after my car accident, and Jaylyn ended up getting pregnant. I don't know, it's just an unexplainable feeling for me, and right away I'd pray. I'm not much of a religious man, but I would pray, and I would pray that my baby would be healthy, and we had a healthy baby. We had a perfect healthy baby. I'm an instructor here at the community college now, and I enjoy it. I love my job. I get summers off. I get to build this relationship with people in the community, my students, and ultimately I get to share what I've learned. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, man, I grew up counting books of food stamps, not reading the Wall Street Journal to see how my stocks are doing, and now I have that knowledge. I always wanted to get my education and come back and give back to my community, and I never knew how. I never knew how I was gonna come back here and give back to the community, but I knew that I wanted to. That was my goal overall. I love my life, life, I couldn't ask for any more. I have a girlfriend, she loves me dearly, I love her. We have a 6-year-old daughter. She's healthy, she's perfect, she's gorgeous. I have a job, I have a home, I have a car. Now that I have a family, you know, like I say, it's my ultimate goal is just to be a good dad, you know. Everything else, I really don't stress too much about. I try to get out there and do my part and talk to them about, just share a little bit about my life story. And ultimately I get at saying, hey man, you know, buckle up, wear a seatbelt, don't drink and drive. Because if you do, you're gonna end up like me, or worse, you're gonna not be here. You know, you're gonna be like a lot of our friends and family, you're gonna be dead. Being in the car accident, you know, suffering a spinal cord injury, becoming a paraplegic, actually saved my life, believe it or not, saved my life. For me to be in that mind state at one time, and to almost lose my life, you know, the car accident caused me to really look at life, and I was given a second chance. You know, too many of my friends and family didn't get a second chance. I was given a second chance, and I told myself that, you know, with the encouragement from my mom, that I was gonna do something better. And then once my family came along, I was just, you know, I made sure that I was gonna turn my life around. I was gonna have a better upbringing for my daughter.
Alcoholism and impaired driving is probably the biggest killer on this reservation. It was ingrained in us from when we were very young. To have a good time was to get drunk. But here among our people, it is catastrophic.
There's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of extreme poverty, and you know, there's this generation after generation after generation after generation that have been drinking, you know, using drugs.
You know, everyone wants to party, everyone wants to go out and have fun, but they don't realize the dangers of what happens. And it's so easy for our youth to get a hold of drugs and alcohol. It's really a big problem here. It's really a big problem. And it's something that we need to get down to the source, and we need to fix the problem.
And don't give your kids a set of keys, and especially if they're drinking.
You know, if somebody's drunk at your kitchen table and they can't walk, well, you know they can't drive, but yet you're letting that person get up, walk out to their vehicle and leave your home.
I think we can overcome the challenges of impaired driving by more prevention activities, starting in the school and throughout this community, by helping in our treatment centers to help people overcome their addictions.
Youth is everything. You know, our youth has to kind of step it up a little bit more. And I really feel that our community needs to focus on the youth a lot more. Our youth are the ones that are being left behind.
Somebody's got to say something. It's got to start somewhere. And people got to want to change. They got to want to do it personally.
It's just like a big circle. If you don't break the cycle of this abuse, then it'll keep going to the next generation, and it'll keep going like a whirlwind just around until somebody in that circle will stop and break that cycle.
The Blackfeet tribe is a big family. We all care about each other in one way or another. It feels good to know your identity, to know where you're from and who you belong to, and to know that we come from a proud tradition of people, a proud people.
What makes me proud of being Blackfeet is the history that we have.
Yeah, I'm proud to be a Blackfeet.
To me, this is God's country, you know, and our land is, man, we have the most beautiful land I've ever seen.
I'm very proud to know that I come from very strong people.
I'm proud of my culture, that it's still alive and thriving today, that we still identify ourselves as Blackfeet.
I've always been, even since I was young, just being proud that I'm Blackfeet. We come from good, strong people, and that we should just carry that on.